Three, two, one. We're live. Peter, good to see you, man.
Leon, great to see you also. Peter here, Timberland Homes, residential home builder up here in Minnesota. And just reflecting on the last year from the time I met Leon till now. So here we are.
Yeah, we've been working together for 12 months. And if you had to sum it up in one sentence, what has changed within you and within your business?
One sentence. I would say the biggest thing is myself, I have leveled up closer to where I want to be. And what I mean by that is you don't realize until you dig into yourself what really has to change, and it has to start with your mind. And that's really what leads everything. I would have never gotten to where I am today if I didn't decide that that was a non-negotiable and I needed to make a change.
Beautiful. Before we go into where were you last year? So, how did this transformation unfold and what are the current numbers? Like, how much the business grew in the past 12 months and how much you personally feel your performance, your productivity has gone up?
Well, to give you a perfect example, this time last year, we were building two homes at one time. It was myself and only one other employee, and we were doing multiple areas of firefighting, dealing with cash flow issues were significant. Just all around, every part of the business just felt on fire the whole time. From that point till today, we have taken our revenue of last year and 5x'd it. um, we've hired another person to help manage part of the office side of the world. Cash flow has increased. I mean, we 5x the numbers, but what the cash flow, we no longer are concerned as significantly as last year whether or not we're going to make payroll on Friday. It's just all around a completely different business. There's no comparison. To be fair, I don't know with where we were a year ago if we'd still be in business today if something didn't change.
That's incredible. So, five times revenue in 12 months is absolutely exceptional. Especially coming from where you were, because when we first started working together, I remember, and I want you to give a little bit of light on this. Your sleep was wrecked. You were super stressed out, as you said, putting out fires every single day. And you, at some point, you confided that you sincerely doubted that it was gonna go, like it was going to change. Like that had been your life for so long that it just felt normal. And when we first had the first conversation, I said, this is all a training and assistance problem. With the right training, with the right system, life is going to be radically different. And you begrudgingly trusted me. It's like, okay, I wish this to be true. I'm not sure it can be true. So well, let's walk back to that in a minute.
I think there's a twofold to this. One is I've been an entrepreneur my whole life and other entities, other businesses besides construction. And I felt like I always got to the same point, and I would get to that point and I couldn't get through it. And because of that, a business would fail, or we'd move on to the next thing because we just couldn't get past it. So that when I was hitting that point again this time last year, and I was like, I will not let this happen again. There is a way through it. And so I knew I had to do something. And I'd been trying to work with multiple different construction-based coaching firms, anything else in the past, utilizing them in some capacity to thinking that that was the magic bullet that was going to fix everything. And the reality was is they probably all had great content, they all moved in the right direction, but until you as the person actually understood and could implement it, none of it mattered. It was
Yeah.
it was just literally another system somebody wanted to roll out that you had no interest in trying to implement. So once we got past that, it's what probably helped me catapult everything. Because now, as I've learned, I mean, I'm in another group besides you, Leon, and there's plenty of opportunities and systems within that group. But it took me first understanding how to implement them, how to read them, how to understand them. And probably the biggest significant one that I'm working on the most is I'm a construction guy. I'm an agricultural guy. you go ask how many guys want to do meditation, how many guys want to do breath work, how many guys want to, read a book and take in all of those steps? Yet, them are all factors that have led to where we are today. I mean,
Hmm.
from a year ago, I'm over 30 pounds lighter. Um, Fitness and health, as far as eating, has become a major focus of mine. Um, I'm not going to lie, I'm not where I want to be with meditation, some of the other things, but it's conscious, it's there,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
understanding it, I see it, and I can feel the results. I've since started working with a guy at a gym that it's amazing. We work together, the things we get out. I actually subconsciously now wake up at 4 a.m. every Friday for his early morning training, and I don't even question it. We get in the vehicle and we go. So
Beautiful.
all of those things have came together over the last year.
Course. As we always say, it's always brain before business. You can get the best business coaching, the best systems, the best ideas, the best strategy in the world. Nothing is going to work if your brain actively rejects it. And you're now 30 pounds lighter and your business is 5 times as larger because you have become an elite founder. You are in the process of being an even more elite founder, just like elite athletes. You're training every day. So you're taking care of your brain through meditation. You're implementing the systems. You're taking care of your nutrition. That's the whole paradigm shift. And that's the thing that, to me, I feel it's missing in business education. And you are a super example of what can happen when you work on yourself with systems and science and dashboards as hard as you work on your business. So, who are you as a man, as a founder, as a father, versus who you were a year ago? How would you define that in terms of how much more productive you are, more calm, more present, more decisive? Like how would you measure that?
I mean, I guess I would lay it out this way. Like I said, a year ago, the business was hanging on by a thread. I wouldn't say we're out of the woods, but we're making strides in the right direction. Um, I've been able to focus on taking my family on a vacation and actually being present and enjoying it, not having to answer phone calls or saying, man, can I even afford to do this? Should I even be here? Um, my kids are both active in sports. Whether it's dance for my daughter or baseball and football for my son. I don't think I have missed maybe one more than one or two games in the last year, uh,
Wow.
because I focused on making sure that that was a priority of ours. Um, Definitely want to get more in depth, get this business to a point where it runs itself so that I can not even take a phone along when I go on vacation and know I'm going to come back to something solid. Be honest, we're not there, but where we are today compared to where we were a year ago, I don't even know how you put a measurement to that. We're so far past it that it's not even logical at this point to try and measure it.
You have leveled up so much so quickly that you don't even remember how much you have improved. Is there any
And
moment in
I
which you said, "Yeah, go"? Sorry.
I was going to say that probably the biggest problem is you always hear about delayed gratification and all of the things that come along with it. The reality is you don't really see it happening because it does happen slower than you want. But when you sit and reflect, I think that's why journaling is so important, right? We need to write it down and we need to go back and read it because when you reflect on where you were from then till now, y- there's no comparison. And that's when you truly know that you've moved on and you've stepped up. You end up finding yourself in different rooms. You find yourself in higher leverage places that you never thought were possible because you didn't have the belief that that was what you were going to do.
Absolutely. And this is why I coded the dashboard and I force you guys to track. I remember the first time that I told you to track your work day and work week, you were like, I'm not doing that. That's like a chore that is just going to add to my to-do list. Why would I do that? And I remember having this conversation. He said, dude, my performance is, I'm on a slump. I was going well. Now I'm doing, said, how long have you been tracking? Oh, I stopped.
Uh-huh. No, nobody ever thinks about that, but I mean, I always thought Elon Musk was crazy that he had meetings on five-minute intervals, and he was very, but I understand it. I get
Hmm.
it. I mean, I even find myself now in meetings, like I'll very politely, say, hey, let's get to these bullet points, let's move on, let's nail this down, let's keep moving, because what you need to understand as a business owner is, or take whatever you want to make for the year and divide it by 2,000 hours, and that's what your value is per time. So how much of that do you want to burn on unused potential? We actually in the other group, he sent out a spreadsheet. It had value all your time, and it actually showed a negative number if you were doing tasks that were below what you should be, and you could have
Hmm.
delegated. And it was like, wow. I mean, all of a sudden you start seeing how you're losing, seven, $8 million of potential because not delegating certain tasks. So
Yeah. The
it's
thing is,
it's
it's easy to, so once someone tells you that, you understand it intellectually, you know what that means, right? The problem is actually doing it because the subconscious, unless trained, like by default, the human brain rejects that. So how has I'm interested in your psychological transformation because you were in a place in which you highly doubted that you could break through. You trusted yourself, you trusted the program, and now you've break through all of that and many times over. How has your internal self-belief changed? Your sense of self-efficacy, ability to get things done, your self-doubt, like your whole psychological transformation. How do you see yourself and how do you see the world right now?
I mean, I see myself transitioning from a business operator to a business owner.
Hmm.
I look at it from where are the discrepancies within how the systems operate, and then how do we fix that? How do we not have to come back and see that again? From a personal level, I mean, I look at it and say, take fitness for instance, take food for instance. It's like, you know what? That meal there is horrible for me and I know it tastes really good, but at the end of the day, what is my benefit? What am I going to gain from that? Because that is the first step to the next step. It's no different than wanting to be fit and working out, right? You don't want to do it. That's what your subconscious is telling you. You don't want to do this. Yet once you're through it and you think you should be more tired and wore out because of it, it's the exact opposite. Your productivity sometimes triples because of it. And so when I start looking at things in that way, all of a sudden I can now see where, hey, this is why people do this way, and we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is nothing new. It's why most successful people are fit, are scheduled, are disciplined. You can go down the list and you just have to read about them, and all you have to do is copy what they do and make it yours. Next thing you know, you're right there next to them. So
Hmm.
those are the biggest shifts. But it all starts with the mind, and it all starts with those little details. The ones that when you told me, I'm like, I can't believe I'm signing up for this. I cannot believe that this guy's got me convinced that I have to meditate for 20 minutes, that I should work on breath work, that I should, even if it's simple, I should just start doing some gym activity, and all of that now leads to why everything else follows behind. Um, it all starts with you. So that's the big, if there's one takeaway I would say with self mastery is it aligns with you. Once again, we're not reinventing the wheel. You already got the systems there. We just have to follow it. And
Hmm.
once you can do that, everything else follows behind you.
Yeah. It's high performance training applied to founders. The science has been out for 30 years. The way we package it and the way we track it is very novel. But if you read 300 books, you have the general idea. But ask anyone how. In your specific industry, how often people 5x their revenue in 12 months, that's an outlandish um, progress. So that signals that you've been doing things differently, very good, consistently with minor mistakes. And you and I both know that you haven't been tracking as much as I like you to be tracking, and a bunch of other things.
And in fact, if there's a couple things that are my main focus, number one is the tracking is what gives me the result, right? It's how I
Yeah.
can divert and I can maneuver quickly. So the fact that I'm not even irritates myself now.
Hmm.
Um, that's first and foremost. And now that the business has got some systems and structure, in a year's time, and not everything's perfect, but at least now I can dial it in, and I've also been able to delegate. Between having a virtual VA, between having a project manager and a field supervisor, and even putting a system together with my designers and my 1099s, everybody follows through, and we have kind of a flawless plan that is at least laid out, then now we
Hmm.
can just kind of turn the dials a little bit to dial it in. Before it was all up here, and
Hmm.
and I was trying to do it on the fly, and that didn't work.
Because you were not ready. Your brain wasn't ready to, you didn't have the capacity yet to do it. You had to train it. This is why, I mean, we've had this many times, this example in the program. They can give us the perfect plan to build a rocket to get to Mars, and both you and I were going to fail at it because we don't have the capacity to make it work. But Elon Musk has it. He's trained that capacity, and that's what we do. It's capacity training. So
Yeah,
before we part, if you could talk to the version of yourself who joined a year ago, who was, in your own words, hanging on by the seat of his pants, what would you tell him?
I would tell him first and foremost, trust the process. You're going to hear things, be told things, and I don't want to use the word led, but guided in a
Hmm.
direction to get very uncomfortable, to get to a point of where you're not sure that what you're doing will pay off. But if you stay the course, the backside will be a version of yourself that you never thought was possible.
I love that. And that's so true. And final question, who do you think this is for? Because you need to have the humility to be guided. You also need to have the ambition to maximize your potential. You need to be willing to be uncomfortable. Who do you think this is for?
The easy answer is this is for anybody who can see where they want to be but keep coming up against a wall and they can't get through the wall. And that is when you have to understand, am I going to stay complacent with where I'm at? Or am I willing to get very uncomfortable and do some things outside the box I never thought of in order to get myself to a position of where I'm a person I never thought I could be? I think as the human race, we're okay with complacency. And if complacency is something you're okay with, this isn't for you. But if you want to see what the true version of you can really be, I don't know why you're not signing up.
I love that. I appreciate you, sir. That was beautiful. And that is exactly the whole way we do have of looking at life and one's potential. So thank you very much for jumping in. Now it's time to map out the next year together. Thank you, Peter, for jumping in.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.